All right, welcome on back to another edition of the Baltimore Beatdown podcast. It is Friday, September 3rd, 2021. If you were watching on the live stream on YouTube, it is Thursday, September 2nd, Thursday night to be exact. My name is Jake Luke. I'm joined on my screen by Spencer Nathaniel Schultz. How's it going, man?
Doing quite well. We have the roster stuff out of the way, so to speak. The Ravens have finalized everything. We have that full picture preseason behind us, everything behind us. We know who's on the IR. We know who's healthy. We know who's returning to practice. We know who has been re-signed. We have many answers that have sparked questions for 1 month, 2 months, dating all the way back to really the end of last season. So here we are. We have arrived. We are currently sitting about 10 days out from the Ravens regular season opener in Las Vegas. It's a good place to be. I'm excited. We got college football in full freaking swing. Minnesota Golden Gophers. Shout out Rashad Bateman going absolutely brazy right now on the Buckeyes, and it's fun stuff.
Yeah, I think him and Bay, did they catch a PJ to that game?
Looked like Mr. Bateman and his lady, who he is a certified lover boy. If there is a certified lover boy on this planet aside from one Dr. Drake, it is Rashad Bateman. Is there
going to be a billboard right off of like Exit 52 tomorrow that says, "Hey, Charm City, Rashad Bateman is on CLB tomorrow"?
The Golden Gopher is on CLB.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. They are love birds. Like, he's 21, maybe 22 now. He is such a lover boy.
Listen, good for him. He's a good-looking young kid. Seems to have a lot of prospects. Must be nice. That's what I would say to that.
And wouldn't it be nice?
For sure. But yeah, he's out there. That game is I think Minnesota's on top right now. I've been kind of checking in and out with it. It's been a fun watch, so it's been a good start to the college football season so far with this one going on, as you alluded to there. And you got your fantasy season started off, as I understand.
Yep, I've had 2 drafts in the last 2 days. Got Mr. Najee Harris on both teams. Shout out to my favorite running back prospect, favorite college running back. It doesn't mean he's the best. It doesn't mean anything other than I enjoy Najee Harris. I think he's a good, fun player, and I wanted him on my fantasy teams. I got good value, so the Najee stonks are very, very real. Very real. Got Mr. Gus Edwards in I thought it was the 5th round. I think it might have actually been the 4th round today. So I had Najee and Gus Edwards in a snake draft as my 2 backs, and I also threw Miles Sandals. Miles Sandals. Sounds like the guy who does Mrs. DiPietro. But no, I got a nice little trio there in that league, so I know everybody cares about my fantasy team very, very much. And I'm excited. Fantasy coming up. I actually am going to be trying to do a live stream every Sunday morning or maybe on Saturday and something of the sort, depending on if I'm going to a Ravens game or not. Mainly talking DFS, but that'll apply to fantasy as well, especially waivers and things like that. Rashad Bateman just on the TV screen at the game, so that was interesting. But yeah, I'm going to be trying to do that every either Saturday night or Sunday morning if possible, most of the time, or at least, rattling out some things on Instagram or on Twitter to get things kicking. I'm going to keep track of bets that I put publicly again. So it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be taking the bet, but I'm going to be putting them and keeping them track. And last year, I think I ended up like plus 400 in the bets I put on my Instagram. So nice little chunk of change there. And I like parlays, like all the money moves. So if you're a rambler, a gambler, all that good stuff, and the thieves of the night, then stay tuned. I got some content coming aside from Ravens football. It's a good way to touch. I just think it's a fun way, fantasy and DFS, to talk about teams other than the Ravens, and it's nice to broaden my horizons every now and again. So keep an eye out for all that stuff.
Yeah, it's big boy stacks. I'm not usually like a big time fantasy guy. I play it every year. I enjoy it to an extent, but I'm not quite to the level that you and Voss are. And like, I always know that it's like late August, early September when you and Voss are in the group chat, just like breaking down like your 7th round, like pick in your 2 quarterback league that you got, and like some of the other stuff. So that always gets me excited for my draft, which I am going to have coming up on Monday. I'm sure we're going to do a full breakdown of that. But, other than that, I guess we do have some football to touch on. We had roster cut down day earlier this week.
Yeah, I'm glad we stuck to our guns and did our Thursday night recording and Friday episode that you guys are listening to now, because now we get the full picture. Everything's done and said with all the IR moves, all the guys who were quote unquote wink and nod signings or whatever you like to call it. And so now we know what the 53 should be looking like. Maybe there's one more move here or there, but we know what the 53 is going to be looking like, what the practice squad is looking like, and what the initial start to the season should be looking like. So we have a crystal clear picture. And again, it just means that all the small time stuff, the preseason training camp, that stuff's fun. It's exciting. Diehard fans, diehard football fans love it. We love it. But at the same time, I can smell that regular season coming in hot, and that's what we're about, baby.
Yeah, once you get through those transactions where it's like the guy leaves and then comes back, a la like a McPhee or an Anthony Levine a couple days after the fact. Once all that's wrapped up, I just feel an immense sigh of like, all right, I'm glad that we don't have to talk about this. And then we obviously had a situation with a rogue fullback this year, which you don't always see happen, and him feuding with John Harbaugh, which is the most John Harbaugh fucking feud I've ever heard in my life. A 5th-round fullback that wasn't going to make the 53, feuding with him and then going to New England. So of course we had to deal with that. So there was a little bit of extra excitement surrounding that situation, but kind of felt pretty shocked. I think we were both talking about how I think your final roster predictions were like 51 for 53. I think I was 50 for 53. So we were both pretty well within the ballpark, which, I don't think that's that too hard to do anyway. So, it just kind of stuck with the board. Nothing too crazy to necessarily react to, but I do think we got some good questions as far as the mailbag went. I think my phone is in danger of dying, so you might want to handle the Instagram, but I can definitely do the Twitter ones.
Why don't you pull the Twitter up on your computer? I've got these ones right here, so we're ready to rock and roll. Starting with Instagram, let's get cracking. We have KBrick2. Ooh, this is what we needed. We're recording a little bit late tonight. A little burnt out from the week, but excited for the weekend. KBrick2 lays a good one on us. You can only keep one: jumbo lump crab cakes, Natty Bow, or Thrasher's fries. It isn't as good as I thought, but I like that it's a little outside the normal pocket. I mean, obviously, we're both going to say crab cakes.
Oh yeah, for sure. And like I love Thrashers, but like the assumption is that I can just keep French fries other than Thrashers, and then because your boy will fuck up some Five Guys fries. Like there are plenty of fries on offer in the world.
I went to a brewery in Frederick tonight and had some. It was kind of like a food truck that was a pretty close imitation of Five Guys, I'd say, and especially fries wise. And so we can make this. Let's make this the conversation. Let's expand on this. Let's go crab cakes, and we'll say jumbo lump. Beer or French fries? You can only keep one.
Beer. I love a beer.
I think I might go fries. If it's all fries, like I fucking love French fries.
Yeah, like that would basically, if I were to do that, it would make me sober because like I don't really dabble in liquor too much, and I've started to dabble in wine a little bit more, which has been really nice. But I'm a beer guy, and so like I want to be able to indulge, and I love the other stuff too, but it hits a little bit different. The Thursday night Guinness pints with the lads when you're recording the pod, they just hit a little bit different.
I am a chubby boy. Always and forever, I want some French fries. The salty deliciousness, the comfort that I get out of French fries. I think I would go. Crab cakes is tough because I do love me some crab. For me. I would I love beer, of course I do, but that's a tough one. I think I go.
Yeah, I think that's the Irish Catholic in me, choosing alcohol over food.
It's that Irish Catholic alcoholic guilt.
Pretty much.
All of it in 4 words there. Nico Laferra.
Oh.
Hey, I'm wagging. Be honest. How comfortable are you guys with our running back room? Dobbins is a huge loss. Comfortable, let's say with Dobbins is a 10. Let's call that, perfect, because that was what the Ravens had. I'd say I'm like I'm either a 6.5 or a 7. I'm teetering right there right now, like a 7. I feel good. I don't feel great, but I feel good. I think Gus is a good option. I worry about him missing time and then what that looks like thereafter. But the Ravens have the best run scheme in the NFL in terms of rushing yards expected per carry by far, pretty much. I think like the Titans and the 49ers and the Browns are the other three that kind of are somewhat close, but I just think you can find backs, and let's say Gus does go down, Tyson Williams can't carry a full load, a guy who does have injury history as well. Justice Hill can't get the, power game that you need. You can send a 6th-round pick and get it back from a bad team towards a trade deadline if you need. So I feel good. I don't feel great. I don't feel bad. I don't feel average. I say good.
Yeah, I don't think either of us are like PFF, like all running backs must be shot in the face guys, but I do think that there is an extent of like you can find backs. And like I think they found one in Tyson Williams. I think they've had one in Justice Hill who can be effective. We've seen that at times. We saw that last season at times in the COVID Cup. He actually played pretty well against the Steelers. So he's a guy who Justice Hill has a big opportunity here. Let's just say that, because is this going to be his 4th year now, 3rd year? I think 3rd year, right? So
I want to say this is
because he was a 19 guy, right?
with Hollywood, yeah. So yep. So it's his 3rd year. Him, Ferguson, yep.
Third year. He's teetering, man. It's time to kind of.
Well, we got that quote. So the Ravens had Drew Wilkins, outside linebackers coach, and Dalen Hayes, and I think Coach Harbaugh at the podium today, and Coach Wilkins made a comment about how, in reference to Jalen Ferguson, the 3rd year is the sink or swim year. And apparently he was just reeling out some one-liners. And he said, and when we went down to Carolina, he was Michael Phelps, saying basically Ferguson turned it on at the perfect time. So that applies to Justice Hill as well. I mean, rookie year, game can be too fast. A guy can struggle to adapt to a new environment, a new city, whatever. 2nd year, you're like, all right, there's still some, we have a clear plan for the 3rd year. If you're not making hay by that 3rd year, it might not be working out for you where you are. So it doesn't mean that you can't work out on another team. It doesn't mean that a guy like, LJ Fort can't develop later and kind of find a niche later in his career and find a nice spot and all that good stuff. But more often than not, especially for those kind of like later day 2 picks, it's 3rd year shit or get off the pot time. So I agree.
Yeah, definitely. You gotta make something happen this year if you're Justice Hill. So I think he's going to come in motivated. There was some news on the vaccine front as far as the quarterback. So I don't know if that's going to sway much opinion on Justice Hill. I don't know if he's thinking about getting that. That might do him well to avoid missing a game, because like if he, let's say, tests positive for COVID, and like if before anyone jumps down my throat, like I know he can still test positive or whatever, all that stuff, even if he does get vaccinated, but to kind of limit his risk of missing a game here, because he's teetering right now, but I do think he has a chance to pull himself back over the slope. And I don't think he's going to be in Baltimore long-term either way, but this is basically an audition for him to have a long-term career in the NFL this year.
I agree, and especially to get a shot as a real contributor. Obviously the Ravens like what he can do on 3rd down. They like his ability as a receiver. He's a track guy. He returns some kicks. He's got that speed. He's got that 5th gear. So it's time for him to prove he is worthy of getting touches on an NFL team. And I mean, honestly, if you can't get it done as a running back in Baltimore, I don't think you're going to go get it done in, let's say Los Angeles for the Chargers or the New York Jets, or, less advanced rushing schemes that are not as running back friendly. So if you can't succeed here, it's hard to imagine a place where you do, unless it's on a team like maybe the Bills. Maybe the Bills could use a Justice Hill, a smaller back that can really move in space, a team that drops back 40 plus times a game and, has a very heavy passing attack. And maybe that's the place he could be a better fit. But again, if you can't prove your salt in Baltimore as a back, I don't know what to tell you, because if you're taking handoffs, this is the place to be.
Yeah. So I'm about a 6.5, I guess, to the original question.
So we're in lockstep there. Main7 with a great question. What are the chances the Ravens get to the line of scrimmage quicker this year? Didn't seem to in the preseason.
I thought they did.
I thought they did in the preseason too, a bit, especially kind of once they stopped the mass subs, like in the 2nd and 3rd game, they let some groups have a couple drives, and it felt like they pushed the tempo a good bit. So I think that the chances are strong. I think part of that had to do with the offensive line and the shuffling that was going on there, especially late in the year, shuffling, Fluker and Phillips, and not having Nick Boyle. I think made them have to use a lot more packages than usual. And that is the one thing that I kind of don't always love in a Greg Roman offense. One thing I definitely will knock at times is this grand substitution, these grand intermissions between plays at times. It takes so long. It's so disruptive at times. And I get it. You want to make defenses, you want to try to catch them in a bad package, catch them, in base when you've got mismatches on the field, things like that. It's a good way to screw with the defense, but it's also a good way to screw with yourself. And I think that was a culprit behind a lot of illegal formations, a lot of penalties, pre-snap penalties, holdings, things like that, where they shot themselves in the foot as a result of getting to the line. But at the same time, there's plenty of times where the Ravens, get to the line late. They run a motion real quick. The defense can't counter. They snap the ball. Lamar Jackson, hit someone who's wide open. So it's really tough to quantify. I don't have access to anything that would be able to show like EPA based on play clock at time of snap. And that also would need more context as well. But we want to see them push the tempo. When they're struggling, if they're struggling offensively, they, the monotonous run game, big boy stuff isn't working, start pushing tempo. We saw that happen in Indianapolis. That's like the golden goose of a game we always come back to. And it's probably annoying if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, but they started pushing the tempo. It worked. It's a good change of pace to push the tempo more often.
Yeah, they I think from what I saw in the preseason, and like obviously it's another eye test thing, but it looked like it was a lot more motions, even like in the early stuff, and like nothing with Lamar really. He only played the one series anyway, but I saw what I felt like was more orbit motions from Duvernay. I felt like I saw more stuff with Oliver coming across the back of the line of scrimmage where they do that little pistol option play where it's like the tight end is either going to be a blocker or he's going to kind of go out into motion and he's going to be the primary read on the play. And I saw a lot of that from Oliver. To my point about Duvernay, it looks like he was coming in motion a lot. I would assume Hollywood is going to kind of take over that role when he steps in as the hopeful Z. I guess we'll see what happens with like the health of the wide receivers. But I think just by function of the fact that they're going to be doing more stuff pre-snap, hopefully, because it felt like they were a little not creative with that stuff last year at times. I think by function of the fact that they're hopefully going to be doing more of that, there's going to be less time to just kind of dick around in the huddle. And like they're going to have to get up there and start to get ready to get that stuff in motion with like 10 seconds or more, hopefully.
Right. I think it prevents, and maybe, I mean, the context that we're missing or the information that we're missing is we're never going to know what the checks are at the line of scrimmage. You can when a team, Josh Allen started making a lot of checks. There was a lot of bubble screens in Buffalo, things like that. With the Ravens, it feels like we're very unsure of the checks, and maybe there aren't a lot of capacities for checks within the Ravens offense. And, you can read all you want. You can make assumptions about Lamar or Roman or whoever based off of that. And the problem is we're just never going to know the answer. So ultimately, that might give Lamar more freedom. I mean, he's going to be in year 3 under Greg Roman as his offensive coordinator, and you want to give him more time to scan, use hard count, find weaknesses, scan the field, sniff out rotations, things like that. So we would like to see it for sure. You mentioned, the tough part is that they do utilize motion at arguably the highest rate in the NFL. At the snap, I think it's the highest in the NFL, and then motion in general, the highest or the second highest in the NFL behind the 49ers. And that requires time, and that requires, consistency. So getting those in line, getting those early, pushing pace that way is just going to lead to better organization overall. So that is something you want to see, but it does feel like Roman likes to try and get there late and then run a quick motion that defenses can't account for. But I feel like that just sets you up to shoot yourself in the foot just as much. So it's like we're just basically kind of at this point almost talking in circles, but it's a big, long gray area. It's a huge gray area with what the Ravens do. So we'll see how they manage it. And I'd love to see somewhere. I'll look and see if I can find. I have a couple data sets and some different things. I'll see if I can find anything about maybe EPA or success rate, depending on time of the play call, things like that, and maybe like pre-snap penalties and stuff like that. So something to look out for. Moving on. DX Baby, why do you think there was a report on Rashad Bateman being quote unquote way ahead of schedule? I didn't see that.
I think he might be talking about the report out there that he is already cleared to run routes. I didn't see anything about his schedule though.
I didn't see I saw someone say that, but I haven't seen who said he was cleared to run routes. That was like a week
It
ago.
was just some random person on Twitter.
That's what I thought. I don't think there's any validity to that. And I don't know. I think we'll see Bateman back either week 4, week 5.
Yeah, I mean
And
he can't come back until week 4 at this point anyway, right?
right. I think week 5, if I had to bet, if I had a lot of money to bet, nothing to lose, I would put it on week 5 as his return. And that would be giving him probably 2 weeks of practice. So that's where my money's at for now. Moving on. 3 tones. How do you see the running back snap percentage? Probably like 55% Gus, 45% the other two.
Yeah, I was thinking like Gus 50 and then the other two 25 evenly. But like I'm also guessing that like there's going to be another random guy that gets into the mix at some point in the year, whether it's like somebody they pick up or somebody already kind of in the mix. I know McCrary got claimed by the Broncos, so I'm not sure who that would be, but it kind of feels like in situations like this, a random guy has a good chance of catching on at times too.
There's also just a low likelihood that all 3 of those guys play 17 games each. So
Exactly.
there will be another running back on the Ravens active roster at some point. We'll see who it is. WB Caps, loving the YouTube series, Jake. Do you script your stuff or is it just, or excuse me, do you script your commentary or is it just off the cuff?
No, so what I do is I play it and then I edit the video and then like I comment over it like after the fact, like a director's commentary type thing.
Boom.
Yeah.
Madden series is back, ladies and germs. Check it out on our YouTube. Lots of fun. Jake's way of predicting the games and things like that. A lot of fun. Yeah. Enjoy Slurms. Street saying our guy got his vaccine emoji eyes emoji. It's what Rita said. Rita don't lie.
No, absolutely. There was a kind of a, speaking of random Twitter accounts, our buddy Spencer sent it to us, a different one. And he sent us a tweet of just a sort of a random dude on Twitter.
It's like a fantasy guy. He was like he's like a fantasy content creator.
Yeah, I shouldn't say random. It seemed like he was in the game. Shout out to Omar. But yeah, it was kind of just sort of out of nowhere as I was leaving work today, and it was just sort of like, okay, well, hopefully. And then Rita at the NFL chick, who has had some pretty good scoops recently. And I mean, even going back over the years, I think she actually called Justin Houston coming to the Ravens. So if she says it, you probably should believe it. And it seems like he's getting that jabby jab. So we like that.
That's our fucking quarterback. We like to hear that very much so. We like to hear that Lamar is doing what it takes to win as, a person as well as a Baltimore Raven in the NFL. Hopefully that's mitigating a lot of risk, the opportunity for lost games, the opportunity for just annoying bullshit. And he's also at face level, by doing that, he is sparing himself so much scrutiny. I saw multiple tweets earlier today, even because people are really getting on Kirk Cousins, who so strongly opposes it and has had this whole sort of, cloak and dagger relationship with the media over it right now. And he's kind of getting, he's like becoming a poster boy for it. And people are like, well, what the fuck? Why is Lamar Jackson not getting shit on? Why is this, that, and the other not happening? And we don't talk to Lamar. We don't know, obviously, whatever, but it just felt like Lamar was a little bit more in ignorance than anything else, if I had to guess, in terms of, thinking, oh, I've already had it. And, I've probably got antibodies, whatever, who knows, but he's just avoiding so much scrutiny.
You know what it sounds like to me?
What?
He did his research.
He
said he had to do the research. He had to talk to the doctors and, do all his research and figures maybe he wasn't lying.
Seriously, maybe he did talk to doctors. Maybe my grand thing was the Ravens should have brought knowledgeable people to Lamar to talk with him or have him Zoom them and have them talk about their credentials, where they come from, where they're working, what they know about it, what they don't know about it, talk to him about it. It was an important matter for this organization. And, in a contract year, you like to see him do the right thing for the sake of winning. And I'm sure we'll have a few people who are going to bitch at us for making these comments, but it's hard to say with the way things are lined up right now that getting the vaccine does, especially for a franchise quarterback, does not help the team win in the end. So,
and I don't think we should be bitched about with that because we're just making a comment on the why that is a smart thing to do for him professionally. It has nothing to do with the ethics of anything or what our thoughts are on the vaccine. Even though we are both pro-vaccine, that doesn't play into our thoughts on that.
Exactly. He's doing what it takes to win. So you love to see it. It sounds like that's what went down. And now hopefully he posted that. He posted on his Instagram a couple weeks ago, and he posted like the Pablo Escobar, like sad, lonely memes. And like
yeah, I think that was the preseason that like he wasn't getting a chance to play. And I think he wanted to play against Washington. So there's that, and like it's that whole thing, and like
but it was him with a mask on was the picture before it though.
Yeah, maybe, and like I think to the point about like what was I saying? Point about it's been such a long day.
You were talking about Washington, him wanting to play before that.
To the point about the research. Shout out to Dan Hansis around the NFL. That was like one of his big jokes about like Lamar and like all the stuff about research. He was kind of like being sarcastic about him like doing all this like research, really getting in like the lab and doing
Google's it.
Yeah, and I'm like, I was like, all right, Dan, like that's my quarterback. Shut the fuck up. And I thought that
the funniest part about that though is that he like posted some weird conspiracy thing at some point because he was probably like Googling it or searching it on Instagram. Like I think he really was trying to like look around and see what people said about it and see like, and he ended up finding some like fake kooky doctor, like some Western medicine doctor or something probably. Yeah. And like being like, oh wow, this is, and then he deleted it 4 minutes later. So like the entire thing, great bit by Dan Hansis, long story short, hilarious situation all around. Taking a step back now, hilarious situation all around. He, fortunately he's healthy, he's safe, nothing bad happened, but he has it twice. He's like is there another NFL player, especially one that is nearly as prominent as him, that has had it twice already? Like,
I can't think of that many athletes. Like John Rahm, we've talked about.
Right.
I don't know anyone else really.
I can't think of it either. So like in hindsight, this has just been a funny situation overall, and hopefully it has reached its conclusion, but now we can laugh about it and not have to talk about it anymore. So hey, this is us locking that one up, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. I think we are, we're both happy that we don't have to worry about that as a thing where, like, listen, like I said, he can still test positive and miss a game, whatever it might be, but like it won't be for lack of
effort.
Trying. Yeah, exactly. Like he did what he had to do here, and respected him for that in all seriousness.
Spot on. And I heard the same thing about like Tannehill, who was a guy who apparently was open, or he admittedly was somewhat reluctant, ends up doing it. And, Titans are now having some issues there. So better with than without in the case of an NFL player. Eric Jacobs, real estate. Ben Mason, public enemy number one.
Yeah, he texted me this right after Mason went to New England's practice squad, I suppose was where he wound up. I guess, listen, Chris Ballard voice, the rivalry is back on with the Patriots here.
The people's fullback lives on. These motherfuckers try to go draft another fullback. Pat Ricard's in the last year of his deal. Guess what? Not today, not this year, not next year. Re-sign Project Pat. That is our boy. He is 300 pounds. He can catch passes. He is the best fullback in the NFL. Yes, I'm talking about you, Juszczyk. Pat Ricard is the number one fullback in the NFL. He embodies Baltimore. He embodies many things about this podcast. His kind of, I've posted some things. Get you a fullback who can do both. Someone who's a patriot, but also very socially conscious, and is jacked and loves to eat good food and goes to THB and is a nice guy. And he is our like demigod. Pat Ricard is the Baltimore Beatdown podcast demigod.
Yeah, so he's our mascot to some extent.
Yes, he is our devout symbol is Pat Ricard. He is the man. My birthday present, full disclosure, from the franchise was a Pat Ricard jersey. And it might be the last jersey I ever get, because I think I'm getting to the age where it's kind of weird to keep buying jerseys of like guys that are way younger than you. Might be one of the last ones I ever get, unless there's like, I already have Lamar, if there's another like legend that emerges in the next 20 years, maybe there, but Project Pat's going to be my Sunday jersey, my Monday jersey, my Thursday jersey. That's going to be my game jersey this year. So that's our boy. And Ben Mason,
you talk
ship
about
it up to Boston. Get out of here.
You talk about building character. Project Pat is slumming it with us. Ben Mason, before he turns 21, is like Mr. Diva with the PMT guys. Like, so yeah, I think that tells you a little bit about the character of these two individuals that we're dealing with here.
Ben Mason, yeah, a diva fullback. He still has the mohawk. I watched Baron Browning. If you want to go watch Ohio State tape, and if you want to go watch Senior Bowl tape, Baron Browning put him on his ass multiple times. I was not impressed with the player. I was not impressed with the tape. I was not impressed with what I saw in Mobile. I was not. If you've been listening to this podcast, what did we say about that pick? Fucking hated it. Absolutely hated that pick. Thought there was very little upside. Not a ton of risk, but just even less upside.
You legitimately hated it. I was just kind of indifferent to it. I thought it was funny, good for
it's memes. A bit. It was a bit.
Yeah, it was just like whatever. Like this is just Harbaugh's Heroes at its finest.
Exactly. Let him get his day 3 flyer. That's a high character guy, a hard nosed guy, a Harbaugh guy, Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, fullback, blah, 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 special teams, blah, blah, blah. I mean, hey, a couple days ago I said there's no way that they draft that kid and don't put him on the 53 because it would be so stupid. And shout out to them for not listening to that and not believing in sunk cost, or not like taking that into letting sunk cost be
sunk cost fallacy.
The fallacy, letting that have any sort of impact. If he's not going to get it done, cut the ties. People say, well, they don't know about Boyle. They don't know about Ricard. Well, guess what? No one even claimed him on waivers. So maybe the Patriots drafted him. Guess what? You probably could have found just the grand irony in the entire thing is that the fullback you do have was a UDFA defensive tackle. And then you go spend a pick on this diva Mohawk fullback who's too good to be on the practice squad behind another fullback. Like, he is everything that fullbacks are not supposed to be. So sayonara, motherfucker. That's all I have to say about it. I'm done with Ben Mason. Go have fun in Boston. Go be an all-pro, even though it doesn't exist for fullbacks. Go be Mr. Superstar fullback for all I care. I don't care. Pat Ricard is the people's fullback. They didn't need one. It was a bad pick, and I'm glad it's over with.
Is his diva mentality going to allow him to fit in with the Patriot way? That's my concern with him. Is he going to be putting himself before the team? Doesn't seem like a Belichick guy to me.
That's like what Bill Belichick is secretly, like a gritty diva. Okay. Like Bill Belichick wears the ripped up sweatshirts. Like, okay.
Yeah, okay, I can see that. Okay,
you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, I see where you're going. That makes sense.
He embraces the grit into a way that becomes diva like.
He's a little too aware of what he's doing.
Exactly. It's conscious. It's a decision that's made.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So, I mean, hey, Josh Oliver, Eric Tomlinson. The fact that they chose Eric Tomlinson over him, I think, really speaks volumes to the capacity that he was functioning, because that means the dude is not moving people in the run game in line. He's not big enough. He's not long enough. I don't think defensive ends, it was also funny because Brian Baldinger had a video. He's like, oh, they got Ben Mason. He's going to be able to pick up defensive tackles and pass pro, like blah, 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 blah. 3 days later, he's cut, or he's waived, not claimed on waivers, and then signs elsewhere. And then the funniest part of the entire thing was Harbaugh looking absolutely stone cold pissed about it. It felt like a moment of it felt like the first stage in the stages of acceptance, which is anger. So maybe he should butt the fuck out for the NFL draft conversations. And, at the end of the day, a 5th round pick's not killing you, but maybe it's time to let the front office handle that a little bit more. So
you got to throw the dog a bone here and there.
Bingo. So that's the lock and the seal. Ben Mason, we'll bring up some jokes from time to time, and we'll see what happens. Maybe he'll become a superstar in our face and be the Patriots' 15 touchdown goal line back or something. But that's not, we're not putting an Orlando Brown moratorium on it, but I'm done here. I bid you good day, Ben Mason. Ship up to Boston and get out.
He can announce his own plans. That's our statement on it.
Bingo. Love it. The great Josh B. He loved the signing of Alejandro, but how are Ricky Wagner and Mitchell Schwartz not on NFL rosters? Rick Wagner wants to retire. Mitchell Schwartz had significant back surgery and is like an 11-year veteran, 330 pounds coming off of back surgery. Like, imagine being a 33-year-old, 330-pound man who's played in the NFL for a decade and then getting a pretty significant back operation. So I think that answers itself. Moving on, Hectic X Drell. Realistic expectations for Dalen Hayes this year. Dalen Hayes, I think, is a guy that I saw him as a perfect backup to Tyus Bowser. I think he can beat tight ends. I think he can drop into coverage. I think he plays like a linebacker in space, like an off-ball linebacker in space, but has the heavy hands, has the size, has the aggression to be able to be a factor against the run. What I've seen from Hayes, and he was talking about at his press conference today, the dips and the rips and how low he's playing, I did not see that on tape. I did not see that in Mobile. I am very pleasantly surprised with what I've seen in that realm. And from what he says, it is a full credit to Calais Campbell, Justin Houston, Tyus Bowser, outside linebackers coach Drew Wilkins. And the best way to explain Dalen Hayes was that, and I mean, it was a small thing and it kind of got blown up, but him taking that mental rep early in rookie OTAs, Odafe is lined up doing a drill, and Hayes is behind him just taking a mental rep. And I think that just shows you what kind of kid he is. He's probably a sponge. He's probably highly intelligent in the film room. He probably asks questions. He's probably involved. He probably wants to understand the playbook fully. And I think he's going to be a rotational piece. I think he's going to play, 5, 10, 15 snaps if everybody's healthy. And if guys aren't healthy, I think you're comfortable putting him into a heavy rotation.
Yeah, he's a real gritty guy. He's a guy who he's getting his nose in the playbook early on. He's not showing up too flashy. He's learning from the guys that are above him on the depth chart, regardless of age or experience. He's just taking in what he needs to take in, and he's getting ready to have himself a role. And I think he's going to have a role this year. I'm excited for Dalen Hayes.
Me too. I think he almost seems, I'm not sure on this. He almost seems like he comes from a military family. The amount of respect he has for kind of, his veterans on the team and his coaching staff, and the way that he carries himself and how outgoing and polite he is. I would be willing to bet he might come from a military family. Then we have Alex Smearman rattling on realistic stat expectations for OA, 11 more days. OA, I'd say, is probably, going to play a fair amount of snaps early on. That's what it seems like. 20 to 30 a game, I would think, somewhere around there. Maybe not in week 1. I feel like I said this earlier, and I'm going to stick with this. I feel like he has a similar year to Patrick Queen last year. You see flashes of brilliance, and you see some inconsistencies. I think that they both are, younger players as rookies. They don't have a ton of experience. They come to a new system. It's a lot to take on. The difference is that Patrick Queen had to play almost every down. I think he played about 81% of snaps. OA is probably not going to play 50. So I think he could be a 30 to 40 pressure guy that gets, 4 to 7 sacks and has, 30 some odd tackles.
Yeah, my number was 6 sacks and kind of right around in that tackle range, like, 30, 40.
Bingo. Young boy season, or SNZ, not SCN. Young boy sneezing? If so, I love that.
That might be a typo, which would be one of the better typos I've seen.
Young boy sneezing. Favorite? Oh my gosh, I can't talk tonight.
It's about to be sneezing season.
Sneezing season. Willie Sneed season sneezing. Can't even say it. 5 favorite Ravens right now. Let's go Deshaun Elliott in that group for me. Let's go Marlon Humphrey in that group for me. Let's go Rashad Bateman in that group for me. Let's go Lamar Jackson. And let's lay it on Ronnie Stanley. That's my boy too.
I'm gonna go Lamar. I'll try to have some different ones. I'll go Lamar, Justin Tucker, Pat Ricard, obviously.
Can't believe I left him off. Sorry,
yeah,
Pat.
It's tough. I will go.
You're a Marcus Peters guy.
Fuck yeah, I'm a Marcus Peters, and Marlon Humphrey. I think
you're a certified Marcus Peters guy.
I'm also low-key kind of a Marlon Humphrey guy right now because he's just getting so off the rails with his online persona.
Love it, dude. The thing he had, you had a perfect Don Draper smoking cig thing.
Yeah, that was made for that gif.
Oh yeah, Marlon?
Someday I'm going to write it, and it's going to make no sense.
He's starting to realize the world around him.
Oh, he's getting really too aware of this bit. The what is coffee going to do for a guy like me? He's a true sociopath. I love the guy. He's just a performance.
I just think he's like a fully grown 7-year-old. Maybe 6-year-old. He's a spaz. And he's just having these realizations. He has the attitude of a 7-year-old, but he has the intelligence of a grown man now.
And he's getting into like the NFT game. Yeah, like he's literally like an 8-year-old kid. Like he's so there's a lot of exuberance about life. He doesn't totally know what he's doing, but there's also maybe a little bit more going on underneath the hood than we all realize.
The gears are turning up there. What's coffee gonna do for a guy like me? I'm gonna write a book one day and it's gonna make no sense. He's
got like the new profile picture. I don't know what that is, but it makes me laugh every time I see it.
Some like Sherlock Holmes weird freaking love me some Marlon. Love me some Marlon. All right. Record predictions. Not yet.
Yeah, we're doing that next week.
Next week we'll be going through. I'll have full NFL predictions. I wasn't bad last year. The year before I was really bad. Last year I think I got like 11 of 14 playoff teams, something like that. I think I had the Ravens going to the AFC Championship and losing. I think I had them at 12-4, 11-5. So I was not too far off. Moving on, what round should I draft Gus? Oof. If you want to do it in the 3rd round, I ain't mad at you. I think the 4th round is that sweet spot where it's like, you can get a really high-end RB2 in Gus Edwards in the 4th round. If you go like receiver, running back, or like if you get 2 receivers and have like an RB1, I think Gus is a perfect RB2.
For sure, yeah. And like I said, really not too plugged in on the fantasy scene right now, so I will defer to your expert analysis there.
There we go. Joey Pones. Should the Ravens sign Lamar Jackson, the DB? To the practice squad for sure.
Yeah, practice squad, definitely.
Garrett Downing and Ryan Mink would just have a field day content-wise with that. So
yeah, they'd be all over that.
They would. Like flies on shut your mouth. I am Jay Richter. I think that's what it is. He has a 2-parter. More of a statement than a question. But the best thing JK's injury is that it's going to force the Ravens to throw the ball more, screens, rhythm throws, etc. I don't know if it forces them to, but I definitely think it encourages them to get the ball into the hands of other playmakers like Devin Duvernay and maybe a Tylan Wallace. And yeah, I think those 2 guys end up getting more touches than they would have as a result of J.K. Dobbins. I would think the Ravens are going to run the ball maybe 2% less than they would have with Dobbins, maybe a little bit more. I don't think it's a huge run-pass split, but we might see some more. I agree with the end of that statement, screens and rhythm throws. You might see the Ravens use the pass as an extension of the run game more so with screens or just with very quick hitters, throwing those quick routes. Things like that. And I'm starting to get really big on Devin Duvernay right now. I'm starting to really feel like Duvernay is going to have a good year.
Yeah, I'm liking Duvernay a lot, personally. I know that doesn't really relate to the question, but feels like he's going to be utilized in a couple different ways. It feels like he has developed a little bit as a receiver, to his credit. They were targeting him a lot during the preseason, and like obviously part of that is a function of Hollywood being out. Part of that is a function of him playing deeper into these games anyway, but it feels like he's going to be a little bit more of a focal point. And yeah, I think part of just kind of the positives, I guess, if you want to call them, about the JK injury is like you can see Gus utilized in different ways and at different times in the game than you would normally.
Bingo. And it's gonna the not a silver lining, but the interesting part or the curious part is just what Gus does is, pretty much an RB1. Does he have like a Mark Ingram 2019 type season? Feels like he's kind of in line for that. He's not quite the pass catcher, but he's definitely probably a more explosive runner in many ways. G Fritz 410801 has a triad of questions or comments. Are you surprised that you didn't see Mason's inevitable cut coming? I'm not surprised. I just think I honestly give the Ravens kudos for it. I give the Ravens kudos to be able to cut the ties if it wasn't going to be worth the squeeze. But we have a lock on that one for now, so we'll move on. G Fritz 410801 again. Will Boykin remain once Bateman returns from IR? Someone else will probably be hurt by then. Sammy Watkins, not a guy who's known to play 16, 17, 18, 19 games. So, Hollywood Brown's been dinged up before, so Boykin might have his role there. And then, have you ever forgotten to mute your mic on a Zoom call while pooping? I don't make that much noise when I'm pooping, so it doesn't really
How
matter.
often are you pooping on a Zoom call?
I shower on Zoom calls a lot. If it's like a big one where I don't have to talk, I just put the laptop next to the shower and listen. Then I take a shower.
I like to, even if I have my camera turned off, I like to stay locked in and listen to it.
I definitely always listen, but I will take a shower just because I like to be be efficient with my day. Moving on. Mitch McGee, am I the only one who sees a huge season coming from Hollywood? No, I'm on Team Hollywood. I think we're going to see a pretty big year from the kid. I think we'll see him get a little more consistent as Ohio State bust down Tatiana's like an 80-yard touchdown to go up by 2 scores with 9 minutes and 44 seconds left in the game. There we go. Mian Williams. That wasn't Mian Williams. It was Henderson. Bad graphic. But anyway, yeah, I think Hollywood could have another 100 targets, maybe a slight increase in targets with more pass attempts and more dropbacks. But I feel like he's going to be more in that like 65, maybe even 70 catch range and could flirt with 1,000 yards.
Yeah, they're going to need him to step up too early in the season. And, he's been back at practice recently, and Sammy is getting back into the mix. But you got Rashad Bateman going to be on the sideline for the first couple of weeks, and he's kind of the de facto leader of this group right now, the way I see it.
I agree. I definitely agree. He's the one with the most experience. The one that's had the highest kind of production and success in that room. So I think definitely could see a nice season from Hollywood. I think that Keith Williams and T. Martin are big additions that are going to make him even more well utilized. And I think having other weapons besides Andrews and Brown in the passing game is going to open some things up for both Andrews and Brown. That's the way it works. They're going to have some big days as a result. Mitch McGee also asked, how concerned are you with the Ravens' inside linebackers in pass coverage? I'm more concerned. I think they take a step forward in their spot drops and things like that. I'm more concerned about what they do when Queen gets asked in man coverage for sure, but my concern would be more so with asking them to do it frequently and kind of setting the proper expectations there, considering the safety group that you have and the DBs that you have and a guy like Tyus Bowser who can cover. So I would like to see Queen especially used more as a pass rusher, as a blitzer, as a spy, as a spot dropper and hooks, things of that nature more so than asking him to go cover running backs in man coverage because he's not there yet, and he's going to have some reps of it, and he's going to have some struggles there. But I think he'll be all right. Malik Harrison is what he is. He's a really long guy who can clog lanes, and he's very calm. And I think he's going to be able to surprise some people with things he can do in coverage. I don't think you should ever ask Malik Harrison to be in man coverage. I don't think that's a good idea. But I really like what he can do in just simple spot drops.
Yeah, I'm excited to see Queen's athleticism at work in that regard. So, I think he is a guy who made, like, to your point and to the point we've been making, he made plenty of splash plays as a rookie, but he got other instances where he was exposed. I think against the Chiefs, like, he just got absolutely posterized by Andy Reid and by Eric Bieniemy. I think, like, just kind of eliminating the bad with the coverage is really all that I want to see from Queen. I don't really need to see a ton more like splash play, interception type stuff. Just like be solid, get to your spots, do what you have to do.
Stay within your assignment.
Exactly. Know your role, like get into whichever zone you're covering. If you're in man coverage, then just like try to do what you can to stick with the guy, but just try not to be Superman on every single play.
Lose battles to win wars. Let guys make catches, be conservative, don't get set up for wheels on, if you're backside and you see anything about a screen, stay home. Just trust other guys to execute. That's what you have to do in Queen's shoes right now. That's what he struggled to do last year.
How different is the perception of him right now if the Jacoby Myers touchdown pass is not completed?
Probably I think the two big things are, let's say the three big things are that his PFF grade and him.
That's part of it. Yeah.
And him generally sucking against the Chiefs, like on screens.
Yep. Chiefs is a very bad game. So that's the second game of his career.
Which was like the Chiefs just had insane screens. They
didn't I don't know how much they threw in front, like past the line of scrimmage, but like it really did not feel like a lot. And it just felt like a lot of like him having to sort of run and chase. And he did get exposed on a lot of plays too, but like,
so did the rest of the defense.
Yeah, exactly. And so he has one bad game there. I'm sure he has a couple other, tough ones, and PFF is kind of all over him. And like, that's sort of whatever. We like PFF. We use their stuff plenty. So I'm not going to like go back against them too much in that respect. So whatever, I'm sure he wasn't great, but like it just feels like he's sort of the I wouldn't say disrespect, but just
it's a microcosm of like Lamar losing playoff games, but playing well 95% of the time. It's like
for
the
sure.
same kind of situation.
Yeah, it's just like, you're taking high profile examples of the bad and just completely magnifying them because like he's a little mercurial on Twitter, maybe in some people's cases. Like it just feels like, maybe we can just back off this guy a little bit and like he's going to be fine.
I will just always go back to Joe Ortiz, said it 50 times. Joe Ortiz after the draft does like that 6-minute little interview talking about each draft pick, what they liked, why they picked them. We took Patrick Queen. He basically said, we took Patrick Queen because we think he'd be a top 10 pick next year. So we're going to get a year with him early. And I think that makes a lot of sense. I think we saw a lot of development. I think he was strong towards the end of the year. The two areas that I anticipate him kind of struggling are shedding blocks still, kind of failing to engage, and overrunning in kind of tackle pursuit and kind of running himself out of plays and running himself out of tackles. I think we see him get better there, but I think those are still his two weaknesses, and they are what they are. And I think he has a very, very, very extremely high ceiling. And I think by year 4, he's kind of going to be, I feel like he's going to be upside down CJ Mosley, where he peaks towards the end of his rookie contract, whereas CJ Mosley had an all-pro year as a rookie and then kind of, wasn't quite as dynamic later on.
And you would probably prefer the latter.
Exactly. Unless someone else wants to pay him a crap load of money and take him off your hands, and that is what it is. But different guys, different strokes for different folks. Glassy Fresh, does Gus go for 1,500 plus yards, or does Justice Hill and Gus go for 700 each? Someone else. I think neither of those things happen. I don't think Gus runs for 1,500 yards. I have him tentatively. I have to alter all my freaking stat predictions now. I'm going to leave Lamar pretty much the same, even though it is slightly altered already. But I have Gus somewhere between right now, like around a little under 1,200 yards to like 1,400 yards, and somewhere around like 9 to 13 total touchdowns. So I think he's under that, and then I don't think Justice Hill hits 700 yards either.
Yeah, I've got Lamar or Gus like in the 1,100-ish range because I feel like there is going to be more share with these other guys. I think they're going to want it to be kind of a share with Hill and Williams, whoever else might come into the picture. And then we also I feel like there is some sort of tendency to forget that the fact that you have Lamar, who is capable of rushing for 1,000 yards in his own right. So it's just, there's not as much target share to go around in the rushing game.
Right. Definitely rushing yards. I think Edwards definitely hits over 1,000, and we'll see what happens in the receiving game. Bradley Hancock, 33. Who will the Ravens mid-season trade be for? I feel like it would have to be like high likelihood offensive lineman, medium running back, and maybe like a linebacker. Let's say Harrison or Queen goes down, knock on wood. 1, 2, 3. They might need a linebacker.
Yeah, I wish I knew some names like off the top of my head.
We were looking a lot into the edge rushers, and Justin Houston kind of nipped that in the bud.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
we'll reassess later once it gets down the road. Giffens Mazer, will the passing game actually improve? Wow. And he said, does it matter? Or asked, does it matter? Yeah, I think Lamar has a different kind of trajectory, launch point on the ball. I think he's throwing downhill more so on perimeter throws. I think he's going to have more command and kind of assertiveness throwing to the outside. And I feel like Lamar's going to take a pretty big step forward in terms of like spray chart and consistency. And a big part of that was weapons, man. A big part of that was weapons. And I think Watkins and Bateman might not be enough, but they're a lot better than what he had previously. So I think we definitely take a step forward. And does it matter? Heck yeah, it matters. You got to be able to take the low-hanging fruit when you play those playoff teams. You got to be able to utilize perimeter concepts, quick hitters, speed outs, things that can make defenses respect you sideline to sideline in the passing game so that they can't dedicate 8 defenders to come downhill, beat up your run game, fill every single gap, and completely take away Mark Andrews, because that's what happens in the playoffs, and that's why they've struggled.
Yeah, it definitely matters. Like when when you're younger, in your life, you want a more diverse portfolio because there's, a lot more room for you to operate. There's a lot more things going on, and it's kind of a more intense environment than when you're older, and your portfolio, as it were, is a little more kind of monotone. When you're in the NFL, it's almost the reverse of where like it's okay to like kind of have a little bit more of a monotone approach to games week after week after week. But once you do get into the playoffs, you want to have a diverse portfolio with your approach. You want to be able to do different things, and whether that's passing the ball just for the sake of it, and like obviously we don't care about volume statistics, but you want to be efficient passing. You want to be able to keep up with some of these teams, whether it's Kansas City, or I wouldn't necessarily throw Cleveland into. I wouldn't throw anyone in Kansas City's mix really, but whether it's Kansas City, Cleveland, Buffalo, like we saw, you got to be able to throw the ball a little bit better than they were able to at points last year. So it does matter.
Passing matters. Definitely. B-Rose 931 with, he's attacking some Baltimore beat writers and personalities. He starts off, JLC has been brutal to Josh Oliver on the radio. Does Oliver make him eat his stinking words this season?
Why the fuck is JLC being brutal to Josh Oliver?
This guy, he comes in here, he's getting hyped up. Everybody says he's going to be next Hayden Hurst.
Josh Oliver. I don't know, Kenny. He's not quite as good as Mark Andrews. There with my kids, and he didn't sign their autograph, and he walked off the field, and that was the end of that.
Josh Oliver is going to fuck up a little bit. He's going to drop some balls. He plays a little erratic. He hasn't had a lot of playing time. He played himself on the roster, so maybe that happens. There's been some erratic play. He had like 2 drops and a fumble in one game in the preseason. He did drop some passes throughout training camp. There's going to be some lows. He's going to fuck up a couple times. He hasn't played a lot of football. He's basically like a redshirt rookie. However,
he's a flyer tight end, and like he looked good. What are we doing? Well, come on, JLC. What are we doing here?
What are we doing here, JLC? Josh Oliver, if you're like ripping on the third tight end, what are we doing?
Has local sports radio gone too far?
I don't know what there is to rip apart. He was traded for a 7th round pick that the Ravens would probably trade anyway. And he's just going to be able to work the seam and provide, some mismatch and maybe draw a little bit of heat off of Mark Andrews and some 12 personnel. So I really like Josh Oliver. I think it's a good, smart move that turned out really well so far. Does he stay healthy? Yet to be seen. Whatever. Can't predict injuries. Some people try to that are smarter than I am in the medical field, but he's just an athletic body who has a big catch radius, and he's going to give them probably 70-80% of what Hayden Hurst gave them is my estimation. And guess what? He's 20% of the price. Hayden Hurst is a 1st-round pick, paid a lot of money, and it's the old Aussie 80-20. You get Josh Oliver, he can probably give you 70-80% for not even 20% of the pay. So I like the move. I think it was a great move. I like the fact that they kept him. I think he's been strong throughout training camp. And I honestly, to be frank, if even being I went to like 13 of the practices, I believe, and watching all 3 preseason games, if you're that down on him, I really don't respect your ability to like understand what makes a good football player at a base level, to be honest.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what are we watching here? Like, I'm sorry he didn't sign an autograph for your kids, JLC, or whatever the hell happened, but like the guy looks pretty fucking good.
And by pretty fucking good, like could be a nice option as a 3rd tight end that can catch the ball.
For sure.
So
Nothing crazy, but like they traded a conditional 7th round pick for him. Like for what he's looking like for that, that's like nothing.
Exactly. He's a guy that can catch 15, 20 passes, open some things up, and be athletic, push up the seam, burn a linebacker or dunk on a safety, things like that. And again, he's not going to be some superstar. He's not going to come in and have 800 yards. He's not going to be a Pro Bowler. He's not going to do any of that shit. So don't put words in our mouths. But he's going to be a nice rotational piece that can do some things for you. So that's number 1. Number 2, B-Rose 931. Is Mike Preston the comic book guy of Ravens beat reporters? I think he definitely is. He's got like a lot of cool vintage jerseys. Like he has a lot. I think he's a St. Louis guy, if I'm not mistaken. Big Cardinals fan, if I'm not mistaken.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. He would rock like Bullets jerseys and stuff to practice like back in the day, I think.
Yeah, I know. I have seen him wear some cool stuff. He has a Satchel Paige jersey, all kinds of cool stuff. So could see him dabbling into the comic book scene a little bit, but maybe he's just a sports guy through and through. But Mike Preston, man, that's a dude who is himself. The real Jason Wilson.
Talk about a guy who would like seem to really enjoy like joyous sort of virtuistic environments that are not really realistic. That seems like right up Mike Preston's alley.
Exactly. I heard he's a huge Spider-Man fan. Moving on. The real Jason Wilson. Any hope or need that the Ravens pass more on first down this season? Well, one thing that I like that the Ravens aren't going to do is hand the ball to Mark Ingram on first down, who, if I recall correctly, averaged like 2.2 yards per carry on first down, and like 70% of his carries came on first down, while Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins both averaged well over 4 yards a carry. Just not sure what that was exactly. I think it was a combination of being a giveaway when Ingram was on the field on first down, as well as maybe him losing explosiveness as a result of that calf injury. But holy shit, man, they were horrible running the ball on first down with Mark Ingram. Passing on first down, you'd like to see play action take more precedence and some quick hitters and definitely some extension of the run game type throws. So I think that the Ravens do throw the ball a little bit more on first down. I do think Lamar is going to have the most dropbacks of his career and the most passing attempts of his career by a slight margin. So, therefore, yes.
Yeah, whatever doesn't get them behind in the count. Like, get forward on first down. Don't give me 2nd and 10. Like every
2nd and 8.
Yeah, don't give me 2nd and 8. Don't give me 2nd and 9, 2nd and 11. Like, I don't want to see a lot of that because there was a lot of that last season for varying reasons, but a lot of it did have to do with the over-reliance with the Mark Ingram on 1st and 10, not going anywhere. Let's get away from that. Let's emphasize getting downhill early and getting ourselves ahead in the count, as we were saying at times.
For sure. I think running more zone concepts will help with that, where you're able to kind of get a flow, back can make a cut, fall forward, get 4 yards, 3 yards. Putting yourself in some more favorable neutral or positive scripts is definitely a big deal. But at the end of the day, I kind of went on a Twitter rant that Lamar Jackson has basically been a consensus top 5 quarterback on 3rd and 8 or greater over the last 2 years. He led the NFL in EPA, estimated points added on 3rd and 8 or longer. I think he was 30 of 43 for 409 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He is basically like I said, a consensus in advanced metrics 3rd and long quarterback. So that narrative just can suck its own ding dong. I thought it was so funny to go back and watch that. You think of him making throws like the one he makes to Marquise Brown against Buffalo, or the one he makes in the playoff game against the Titans in 2020 in the divisional round loss, and all those kinds of things. So it's just a very funny narrative that can fuck off. And I think that's a little bit associated, but hey, you don't want to see 3rd and long. You'd rather not have it that way. Moving on, Adam Jones, 357, the 5-time Gold Glover. Does the offense get off to a kind of slow start like last year? Feels somewhat similar talent-wise. Wouldn't be surprising considering the injuries and considering, the kind of lack of continuity, some new faces on the offensive line. However, I think trotting out Kevin Zeitler at right guard is a little different than trotting out Tyree Phillips as a rookie in a new position without a preseason. Villanueva is probably going to be better towards the middle or end of the year than he is in the beginning. But and we'll see where Nick Boyle's at. But hey, if Sammy Watkins is good to go, if Oliver's good to go, Gus Edwards appears good to go. So Ronnie Stanley, of course, as well. So I think they're a little more balanced offense, but they haven't had a lot of time together. So we'll see how it pans out.
Yeah, it's like, to me, it doesn't feel like, it feels similar talent wise to me right now, but like when they're at full strength, they're not. So I think to that point, like it might be a similar start, but I think the offense will pick up gear when guys start to get healthy again.
I think that the monkey wrench that the Ravens are about to shove in the, wow, I had something eloquent to say, but it's like when you throw a wrench into like an appliance and completely break it, you see someone use a very minuscule tool to kind of break down a masterful machine. I think that the under center 5-step dropbacks that we've seen in the preseason are going to be a pretty heavy telltale that the Ravens are going to use the quote unquote, the offense that I like to talk about. And I think it's going to catch the Raiders completely by fucking surprise. I don't think they're going to be prepared for it. I don't think they're going to anticipate it. I think it's going to hit them in the mouth. I think Lamar Jackson is going to be a weapon on boots, and being able to utilize, we're talking about the perimeter passing game when we were asked the question by, I think it was Githens Mazer, does the passing game need to improve? the Ravens face so much soft coverage and 8-man, especially at a single high looks like cover 3 or cover 1, mainly cover 3, that going under center, having a team like the Raiders who don't really have great DBs, a lot of young DBs, a lot of, ones that aren't very sure of themselves, watching them play soft cover 3 with probably Trevon Merrick in the middle of the field, if I had to imagine, and being able to go hit speed outs on 5-step dropbacks with 8 yards cushion for Marquise Brown and Sammy Watkins, that's going to break the Raiders in half. I think that's going to fucking cripple them. I think it's going to completely prevent them from playing that kind of defense that the Ravens have struggled against. And I think it's just going to open up so much. You're going to start seeing the Ravens use lateral movement with outside zone and with boots off of it to get lateral movement up front. And then that's going to open up running the ball downhill and throwing the ball down the seams. I think that is I think the Raiders are fucked in that sense. We'll see if the Ravens kind of shoot themselves in the foot with some penalties pre-snap and some dumb shit like that. But I feel like the Ravens have the potential to absolutely break the Raiders defense using that under center drop back game.
Yeah. And like, just from my cursory watches, their defense last year had to be one of the worst tackling defenses I have ever seen.
They generally are one of the worst defenses over the last decade, and on a yearly basis, they've been horrible every year.
Yeah, they just first contact, a guy just blows through whoever gets there, whether it's one of their guys in the front, like Crosby, whoever, and then even Jonathan Abram, who I think is a good player, was just getting run over by guys. It just felt like a spineless overall defense. So you talk about a spineless defense versus a Ravens defense, Ravens offense, even at this strength, that is basically built to, on their worst days, put on a hard hat and run downhill at you. They might be fucked, to your point.
I don't think the Raiders have the safe. I think the teams that have really given the Ravens problems have had really strong safety play a lot of the times. Tyrann Mathieu and Juan Thornhill, or the Bills, Micah Poyer and Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. I flipped that in my head. Poyer and Hyde, or let's say Kevin Byard and Kenny Vaccaro. While Vaccaro is not, a world beater, I think he's played some damn good games against the Ravens a couple times. The Steelers having Fitzpatrick and what he's been able to do in some ways, as well as guys like Mike Hilton, who aren't a safety but kind of fit that bill a little bit. The Raiders don't have that. We love Merrick. Merrick had some back issues. I went on the Raiders SB Nation podcast and did a preview. I think they're going to release next week. And I was saying, if there's a defender that I think has a capacity, is Trevon Merrick to maybe make some plays here. But he's a rookie in week 1 against one of the more difficult offenses to kind of, he's going to be playing. He's used to playing in the Big 12 at TCU, running against spread offenses that push tempo and don't run power at all. He's going to go from that to playing the Ravens, who have Lamar Jackson at quarterback, Gus Edwards running downhill, and using heavy personnel. You have to be able to fit the run when you're playing too high. And if they're using him in single high, he's kind of in no man's land there. So he's a player that, if he's a superstar, and I think he had potential to be, a Jesse Bates type player on tape at least, he could make a difference. But in week 1, that would be pretty out of this world to see happen. And again, Abram just not a good coverage defender, and is just that classic kind of box linebacker, and he's just not fast enough to keep up with Lamar Jackson. So I don't like the Raiders' defensive matchup for the Ravens offense. I think it's going to be a tough day for them.
Absolutely.
Kurtz Priya, surprise cuts. I was a little surprised by Mason. I thought he was going to be a guy that the pick only makes sense if you keep him on the 53 and you're just damn sure that he's going to have a role for you early on, instead of trying to stash a backup fullback, which is what they did. And guess what? It blew up in their face. So we talked about that already.
Nigel Warrior for me was a big one.
Nigel Warrior didn't surprise me, but it made sense that he got picked up to the Seahawks. I think that's a great fit for him. I think he fits the size profile and the physical profile of that stupid Pete Carroll classic cover 3 crap that everybody loves to talk about, but he can also play some safety, do some different things for you. So kudos to him. Good for him. I'm happy to see him get that opportunity. But other than that, I think it was pretty stonk.
For sure.
Boom. So that does the Instagram mailbag for us. Appreciate you guys throwing them in there.
Appreciate it. First one from Twitter is from our girl Angie. Of the Ravens rookies, who do you see having the most impact on the team's success this season?
Can you say that one again? I'm sorry.
Of the Ravens rookies, who do you see having the most impact on the team's success this season? I'd probably say OA kind of by default at this point.
Right. There's a little bit of uncertainty with Bateman, so I think the safe answer is definitely OA. But man, if Bateman, I'm still going to go with Bateman as long as he heals up and gets ramped back up and they do it right. I think Bateman has a huge impact. OA, I think, has a pretty big impact as well. Cleveland, we'll see. Brandon Stevens, I think, has a medium impact. I feel like they really like him as a slot kind of. I think he's the Chuck Clark backup. I think they like his body type against tight ends, his kind of physical skill set against tight ends and running backs. They like him in the slot. And I feel like Geno Stone is more so the single high guy. So I see that happening that way. And then, Ben Cleveland, we'll see what happens. If he started week 1, I'm not surprised. If he doesn't start for the first month, I'm not surprised. So we'll see what happens in that way. But ultimately, I'm going to go with Bateman still.
Cool. So 2 first rounders, no surprise there. I think this is Ben Rose says, what different flavor do you see Tyson Williams bringing to the run game, and who is an established back in the league you would say is a good comp?
I kind of like Aaron Jones for him. I don't think he's nearly as fast or has the 5th gear of Aaron Jones, but I think he has a really well-rounded game. I think he keeps his shoulders square. He can kind of jump cut. Maybe a little bit of Josh Jacobs.
I was thinking a little Kareem Hunt, maybe.
Hunt plays a little bit more loose, I feel like. Williams is a very traditional kind of shoulder square running back that keeps his shoulders squared to the end zone a lot and uses jump cuts to navigate between, strings moves together a little bit. He also is like, I need to know his exact size. It's been like troubling me. I think he's listed at like 6 foot 225, and then anything I see him on like social media or anything looks 5 foot 9.5 and like maybe 215, 220, like more stocky than listed at. But if he's 225, it's a big boy. So he's unique, man. He's unique. I know he said he liked to watch Le'Veon Bell a lot. So that's interesting. Le'Veon Bell's a lot bigger than him, but that's also like an obnoxiously popular comp. But I'm going to go Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, kind of somewhere between there, but just not as explosive as either of those guys.
Spence, fornicate, marry, kill, Ardarius Washington, Geno Stone, Chris Westry. So I don't know if the conceit of this exercise is to like actually discuss it in that way, or
I think he means like football wise. Who do you like the most? Who do you find yourself intrigued by, and who do you not like? For me, I think I'm going to marry Brandon Stevens.
It's Washington, Stone, and Westry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Washington. Interesting.
I'm going to marry Washington. I'm going to F Stone. I'll kill Westry. I like Westry in the measurables, but I didn't see enough as a player.
I agree. I'm gonna kill off Westry. I'm gonna F Washington, and I like Geno Stone, man. I like Geno Stone. I think he's a nice rotational backup, maybe an eventual starter.
Very nice. Stuart Shock, inspired by Jake's Madden playthrough, what's more likely? Derek Carr going 19 for 19 in 3 quarters against the Ravens in week 1, or the Ravens actually beating the Chiefs in week 2? Also, what are your general impressions of the game? I don't know if you've played Madden 22 yet.
I have not played Madden 22 yet. I've been having like an internal conflict about it that I think I tweeted about a little bit, but what was it? 19 for 19 from Carr versus beating the Chiefs?
Yeah, which both happened. Not a spoiler alert.
Did he finish 19 of 19?
No, I managed a couple incompletions. I think he went 19 for 19. So sorry for spoilers, but I think he went 19 for 19 through the 3rd quarter. I needed like a big stop. I think I managed to get one like really late, and game actually winds up going to overtime. And Derek Carr actually kind of folding at the end was sort of what we needed to happen. And brother, it did it. And then Chiefs, we won the game, but that's up for you to go and watch and see how it took place.
Love it. What are your thoughts on Madden so far?
It's I'm seeing a lot of the usual negative BS that you see about it year after year, but I don't think it warrants it quite to the same degree this year because they've actually made some additions to franchise mode and stuff that I've actually kind of liked. And that's all that I've been asking for pretty much for the past 5+ years at this point. Like, show it some love, do some different things. And that's without even adding the scouting additions, which are like going to be in a massive update in September at some point. So even without that stuff, I think it's pretty fun so far. They added offensive and defensive coordinators. It feels like you have more control over like game plans and stuff like that. So I think there's definitely a lot of cool elements to it. It's definitely still Madden, like Davon is pointing out in the comments here. Like I have this weird glitch going on where like Lamar is in quicksand on some of the read options. So like he'll have a clearly open read and he'll just be like moving super slow. And it's like, all right, what are we doing here? Like, let's figure this out. But overall,
So it sounds like they had to dox the read option because it was probably too effective in the game. So they had to do something weird.
I think so. And like you'll notice it because like there are certain plays where you hit it, and like if you hit it with Lamar, you hit it, and like you're getting 20 yards at least. And so like they definitely had to like nerf it a little bit, I guess. So maybe that's what it is. But like that's kind of annoying. But other than that, like I tweeted, I think right when I started playing it, that it's not trash. And like that's basically the standard we're working with here is it's not trash.
Not trash.
There's cool elements to the franchise mode that I'm liking, which I think the videos are turning out pretty good. It seems like people are liking them and they're fun to make. So like I'm having fun playing franchise, if not for the video series, then for the fact that they made some cool additions to it, which make it fun. So
love to hear it. Love to hear it. I just feel that Madden Ultimate Team was the downfall of Madden in general for people that don't play Ultimate Team.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because that's their cash cow, so they focus on that more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean it's basically, and like you've got such a limited development window, like 8 months to make a complete game. Like they literally are copying and pasting like most of the game, like year over year. So it's like
they should just do every 2 years and just
they can't. That's the problem. Like it's a cash cow. So that's sort of the total dilemma to it, and probably why it will never be fully fixed.
Very true. Very true.
DJ and K show. It's brew season, boys. What's your favorite brewski or go-to for the season? Big Guinness boy. Guinness draft stout when it starts to get a little chill in the air. We got that today. It's not actually fall. It's just the remnants of Hurricane Ida up here in the mid-Atlantic Northeast area. Get a little chill in the air. I like that. And that's not really a tailgating beer, but yeah, that was probably what I would choose if I had to choose one.
I'm a dog drinker. Flying Dog, Dogfish Head. Those are my boys. Deck beer, I love. I love hazy. I love 60 Minutes. All that good stuff. I'm deep in it. I love that stuff. I'm trying to get some snake bites going. I want to get some Guinness and ciders going. That's my palate is most well treated by my brain when I get those snake bites going. Guinness and ciders, those are my favorite.
You drink a Guinness drink, you drink a cider drink. Engraven, we have not had a custom beer made yet. Hopefully soon. Kalen, will there be more rushing touchdowns or passing touchdowns in week 1?
Let's go for the game. Let's say passing touchdowns. And for the Ravens, let's go passing touchdowns.
Yeah, I agree with that. Both of those. Matthew Hollister. Let's just say Williams is RB2 over Hill, which I think he deserves to be. How many yards on the ground do you expect Williams to have this year? Blue check marks answer first. Little shot at you there. I would
unverified bad boy. It's okay. Twitter just breaks my heart once a month.
Sad. Man, that's tough. I would say like 450 to 500 yards would be my guess.
I'm somewhere around 5 to 750 right now. That's where I'm struggling with him because I just don't know.
I think
he's I've got UDFA and thrusted into a role.
Yep, exactly. And I've got him a little more active in the receiving game than I think some people are maybe expecting. So
yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what it was. Some outlet was saying he's basically like very unproven as a pass catcher. And I don't know what the hell they were talking about. He had I think he had 5 receptions in the first preseason game. And I think he had at least like 3 more throughout the season. He looks sharp as an outlet, as a check down option, a guy in the flats. I just feel like his skill set lends itself to being a very consistent, smooth pass catcher. And I don't know why the hell they said that, but I think he has a medium to maybe large size role as a pass catcher. And I don't know if people are anticipating that currently.
Yeah, he looked great in that role at BYU too, and like not even just pass catcher, but like doing different stuff, like the end around type stuff.
He's fucking rock solid in pass pro.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's another role where he'll be taking a lot of reps in that respect too.
He might be the best, obviously not including Ricard, but the best running back in terms of pass pro on the roster. Gus is a work in progress. I think Gus is an average blitz pickup and pass pro. I think he's average. I don't think he's good. I don't think he's bad. I think he can lose. He will lose. And I feel like Williams is going to be a consistently good pass pro back, which then allows him to be on the field on third down more, which means he's lending himself to running more routes and catching more passes.
Wooketh Nooketh, who wins in this race? Marlon Humphrey chasing down a glizzy, Ben Mason running from Harbaugh, Ravens in AFC North. I'm going to go Marlon Humphrey with the glizzy.
Yeah, he's a glizzy gulper.
He's a glizzy gladiator. Everyone says that. Zeeg Batman. Here's one. Do you know what the chest/back gear that Prochet is constantly wearing? I've never seen it before, and I've never heard of him having any issues with his upper body.
Flat jacket? His flap on his shoulder pads?
Like he's saying his back.
Oh, does he wear one of those posture things that like look like he could have a GoPro on it?
I think so, yeah. I think that's what he's talking about, because I think it like comes up through his shoulder pads a little bit through the back.
It might be a posture thing, or I don't know. Maybe someone can ask him about that. We can suggest that to Kyle to ask next time he gets a chance.
Wooketh Nooketh again. Stat prediction for the undervalued Miles Boykin.
Let's go. Let's go 18 catches, 216 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Wow, I like that.
Deep ball boy.
Listen, I'll repeat that. Regurgitate that as my exact prediction as well. B Rose, he says, what do you like about Wayne Gallman as a potential signing, and how likely is it? I think he signed with the Falcons.
He did sign with the Falcons. I liked his pass pro. I liked his vision in tight scrums, in basically his ability to work through trash and traffic. And I think he finished runs well. I just like Wayne Gallman. I think he's rock solid, and I think that was a nice signing for the Falcons. And I would have understood if the Ravens decided to use Gallman over Justice Hill. Wouldn't have surprised me. Ran for 4.6 yards a carry for the Giants last year. So underrated. Like, that's pretty good efficiency on a very stonk rushing attack that had a not great offensive line.
Cody Cavanaugh, who will be the better Patriot, Ben Mason or Sean Wade? Also, will J.K. Dobbins being gone for the year reduce the amount of QB veer to the offense runs, potentially returning to regular QB option to get Lamar to the edge?
Better Patriot?
Sean Wade.
I think Wade's not that good, and I think I'm going to go with Ben Mason. If he actually is going to get it, maybe he never even makes it onto their active roster, so I'm an idiot, but Wade, just a lot of work to do with Wade still, and maybe it gets put out there. The Patriots have a knack for developing DBs. Bill Belichick, very wise in that department, but I'm going to go with Mason, and then the veer. So the Ravens do run veer, but they run, last year was more kind of quarterback power, or in other words, bash, back away, pulling. It was a GT pull right. So it was bash right. And that means that the left tackle and the left guard were pulling. Lamar would follow them, and the back would go solo to the left. And J.K. Dobbins was really good on it, especially in motion from the slot. I think Mike Crawford at Abukari doing can't remember the name of the show. Fire Zone?
Watching football?
Two guys watching football, and what's their pod? The Fire Zone show? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's one of them.
I think so. So they also do like deep cover or something like that. So I'm pretty sure he charted him at like 8 yards a carry on those. And I think Gus is very fucking underrated as a perimeter runner. I think he gets typecasted narrative-wise because of how successful he is as a power runner on 3rd and 4th and short. But Think about that outside run he had in the preseason a couple weeks ago, just busting heads. Think about what he does on the perimeter a lot of the time. He had that big run against the Chiefs 2 years ago that got called back on holding. Fire zone show. Yep. I believe Gus Edwards is a highly underrated perimeter runner. He does a great job running through contact, using defenders' momentum. He uses his shoulder pads. He stiff arms. Very aggressive working towards the boundary. I think it's underrated what he can do as a complete runner, especially, and let alone a complete running back, while he's still a work in progress in the passing aspects. But any kind of handoff, any kind of concept you want to run. I mean, zone concepts, we've seen some fire cutbacks from him against the grain. Power, obviously, he's so good. Inside zone stuff, he's been so effective, being able to get those 3rd and 4th and shorts. And again, 8 yards a carry on the perimeter option runs. So that's all good stuff, and I'm excited to see what he can do, man.
Eric G. Clark, oversimplified, but why didn't the Ravens keep Warrior over Welch? Then he says, with Gallman gone, who's your next group of backs you want the Ravens to sign? He says he likes Jared Dokes. For the Raiders, are you comfortable with 4 healthy wide receivers? I know Sammy and Hollywood practice, so they're half of a wide receiver.
So why not Warrior over Welch? Because you need 4 linebackers, more than you need 7 cornerbacks and 6 safeties. I think they thought they might be able to keep Warrior, but they didn't, and it's unfortunate. But there's this whole, it's like the modern take is that you don't need linebackers. Nose tackles are worthless, all that stuff. And I think, again, I've said it before, I think that is the biggest discrepancy between the analytics kind of community versus the actual football coaching community, is like the value of linebackers and the value of nose tackles. You need linebackers, man. If one of those guys goes down, if Queen or Harrison goes down, you're not comfortable playing Chris Board fucking 40, 50 snaps a game. You want to rotate. Think about, Patrick Owasso rotating with LJ Fort, or LJ Fort rotating with Malik. Like, 2 linebackers, the especially younger ones, don't. And even Harrison is going to rotate. Harrison's not staying on the field full time. He's not playing 80, 90% of snaps. You want to pick and choose your spots. You want to have the right packages, the right, situations, down and distances for younger linebackers. Chris Board is going to be a guy who plays on 3rd down probably a good bit, and almost a dime backer type role, blitzing a good bit, doing things like that. So you have to have 4 linebackers. It's negligent not to.
So with Gallman gone, what's a back that you might like?
I truly don't know.
I have no idea. He mentions this guy Jared Dokes. I've not heard of that.
I think there's a Miami. He was out of Cincinnati, Miami,
he's
Miami running back.
Yeah, apparently.
Sure. I mean, he's kind of thick. He's okay. I've never really been blown away by him. Duke Johnson is the only one I know that's still out there. I don't know what his deal is. I'm not going to pretend like I watched him last season, or I don't even know if he played a full season last season or what his case was last year, but I know he's out there. I do not know. I think they might need to make a move in a month or two, send a day 3 pick to go get, a B or C list running back if they need one. And maybe there's someone off the street. I was pretty surprised by McCrary getting put on a 53, to be honest. That definitely caught me by surprise. Maybe I'm a little bit of a miss evaluation-wise there with him. I just saw someone who had a lot of speed but needed a lot of developmental work. I'm not comfortable putting him in regular season games yet, so we'll see. But I can only speculate. I don't really have any good options right now. I don't know who's available. I don't know who will become available. So we'll see.
For the Raiders, are you comfortable with 4 healthy wide receivers?
No, because if one gets hurt, you only have 3. And I would like to have 5 healthy receivers, but 4 is not the end of the world. They don't run 10 personnel. So if you can guarantee me that 3 will be able to play throughout the entire game, you can get through that.
Yeah, I would say I would prefer 5. He says, do you think Ben Mason chose the Pats because he saw Project Pat and said, yeah, no way I'm replacing that guy next year?
Yep.
Yeah, that's probably what happened. And then he follows it up with last one here. What offensive tackle are you looking to add? Or do you think Schofield is an ultimate wink-wink deal where he will be a week 2 signing to get paid weekly?
Stop talking about Michael Schofield for the love of God. What is this? There's such an obsession over Michael Schofield, the 30-year-old journeyman who has never successfully played tackle in the NFL, who is a guard. It's like DJ Fluker, but worse. And there's this obsession over Michael Schofield because a certain person said that he is able to mirror very well based on the TV broadcast tape of a fucking preseason game when he's 30 years old. If you're playing against the 2s and 3s and not dominating at 30 years old, get out of here. It's not going to be Schofield. I think they're looking around. Maybe they like Ely in a month from now. You know, the Ravens don't typically love to thrust rookie offensive linemen into starting roles. That's why Tyree Phillips was so surprising in 2020. Maybe they're comfortable with Ely in a month or two, and that's the answer. Juwan James can, we'll see. Achilles is a terrible injury, and I think people are like a little bit too high on the likelihood that James is able to recover from that and play football at all, but we'll see.
I just like him because his name reminds me of the Schofield revolver in Red Dead Redemption. Really good gun.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
So there's that. But yeah, let's just stick with Adrian Ely if we're going to go that route, is my opinion on it.
Yep.
That's all we got.
Appreciate you guys. That was a hefty mailbag. How long have we been recording? 90 minutes on the dot.
Yep. So yeah,
hot 90.
That works out for me perfectly well. So appreciate everyone tuning in here on this I suppose impromptu live show that we threw together here. I think we were just going to kind of think about recording as we usually do, but it's good to get tuned up for the live show. I believe we're going to be doing a live show after every regular season game, so why not get into the swing of it? So thanks again to you guys for listening. Before we get out of here, some housekeeping. Got a couple new iTunes reviews that rolled in recently, actually. So one that I wanted
to hear that.
Yep, from Zach Drabe. I listened through Spotify, 5 stars, great podcast. I listened through Spotify, but I came to the Apple Podcast app just to leave a 5-star review. Some of the most entertaining, rational Ravens takes out there. A refreshing change of pace from the groupthink by teenagers on Ravens Twitter. Working from home, getting the notification that a new episode has dropped is often one of the best parts of my days. Keep going, guys. Thank you.
Very kind. Thank you. Love that. Glad to be there.
Your favorite one from Gus Edwards 69. In a tweet today, Spencer made a very ignorant comment about geography. Latitude equals temperature. Bro, have you ever looked at how far north the UK is? Thankfully, your Ravens analysis is top notch. Spencer and Jake are the best Ravens podcasters and the best Ravens minds, only behind Jeff Z, in my opinion. Always a pleasure to listen. And it was the boys with 5 stars.
That was the sound of, for those who aren't watching, that was the sound of me beating my head against a microphone. That was the last time the L word will ever be spoken about. I'm done with the L word.
Listen, that shit just confuses me to begin with. I can't even differentiate it from longitude, so don't feel bad. Podcast is too good. 5 stars from Chris Cotto 1. I listen to Spenny and the Verified One all the time, and it's probably my favorite podcast to listen to. They have great chemistry.
Please change your Twitter handle to the Verified One.
Oh, well, listen, I can only do that with the display name. I can't actually change the @ otherwise you lose the verification. So
please do that for just a little while. I love that. The Verified One.
They have great chemistry and always go into detail on the Ravens or really whatever topic they cover. They're really good at making the podcast feel like 2 knowledgeable friends of yours talking football with you. Unfortunately, the podcast is so much better than every other podcast I listen to, and this has ruined listening to podcasts for me. I would not recommend listening unless you're looking for a podcast so good you have to drop it. Thanks a lot, guys. Damn, we're making him forget about other podcasts. I don't know if I'd go that far. But
don't forget about Dre.
Listen, there's a lot of good stuff out there. We appreciate you considering us amongst the ranks of it, though.
We got some gentlemen in the comments: Devon, Engraven, Troy, Nut Nasty, Devin Dukes. Shout out to all you guys. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Appreciate all the reviews. Yeah, get those bad boys in there. I wish Spotify could add that feature as well, but hey, we appreciate it. If you leave some YouTube comments, maybe we'll get to those as well. We love to hear feedback. It's been a long off season. We're still chugging along. We had to do a lot of narrative talk and takes talk and all that stuff, but we're excited to kind of get back to what goes on between those white lines on the damn football field with game film coming up and games coming up and actual football being played. Love it. Love you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We appreciate you guys every day, every episode, every hour, every minute, and hope that you enjoy the show. If you have any feedback, please let us know. What episodes do you like? What episodes do you not like? What, do you wish we did? What fun activities have we done? Do you like when we have certain guests on? Who do you want to hear more of? What topics got you going? All that good stuff. Feel free to give us feedback. We love to hear it. It's what we're all about. We can take any sort of criticisms. We're not perfect. This podcast, I definitely think, has come a very far way from when we started, but always, always, always looking to get better. We're not nearly close to where we want to be ultimately, but we've definitely made some huge strides, and we appreciate you guys. So, hey, thanks for the reviews, and keep them coming.
Absolutely. Please do that. And also wanted to shout out everyone, in the area, also kind of surrounding area and down in the south that has been dealing with the hurricanes and all that kind of shit. I know we've had some friends on Twitter. Our buddy Taylor, EDC burner down in Annapolis, had a little tricky situation with the tornado rolling through there. So wanted to let everyone know you're in our thoughts in that regard before we got rolling here. So just keep it together and let's keep moving forward here. And it's almost to football, so we got that to look forward to. But before we get out of here, make sure you follow us on social media. Follow me on Twitter at Jake Luke. That is LOUQUE. Spencer's at Ravens 4 Dummies. That's a number 4. The podcast account is at Podcast Beatdown. You can follow it on Instagram as well at Baltimore_Beatdown_podcast. And check out BaltimoreBeatdown.com for all our great written content. Appreciate you guys joining us for a jam-packed episode tonight. And we'll be back on Monday. We got something a little bit different coming your way. An interview, a chat, I guess you could call it, with our friend Anthony Ronaldo, talking some high school football and some other, general stuff. So that's going to be a fun one, a different one as we gear up for kind of a mega preview for the season later in the week. So stay tuned for both of those, and we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.
Arrivederci.